What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So the other night, Sony did release their Q3 financial results, which takes them through December 31st, covering their holiday season and the launch of the PlayStation 5. So we'll be going over that here today with the numbers they released, because it turns out the PS5 did really well. Go figure, right? Also, we're going to be taking a look at the first review that was published for Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. And do you remember before we talked about Embracer Group, or THQ Nordic, buying up all these different studios? Well, they made a few other acquisitions the other day. It turns out one of the studios they picked up may actually be making that rumored Knights of the Old Republic game. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're newer to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with a massive leak that happened yesterday. It's finally out. It hit the internet. That being 007 GoldenEye Remastered. I didn't think it would ever happen, but it did. As soon as it went up online, people started downloading it, re-uploading it, and at this point, even if links start coming down, it's spread all over the place. And here's the best part. You don't need a modified 360 to play it. You can actually load it up right now on your PC through an emulator. You can plug in an Xbox controller, you can use keyboard and mouse, and play it all the way through it. In fact, I spent a good bit of the day yesterday playing it, and later on this afternoon, I will have a video go live, me kind of going over my thoughts on something I've been waiting to actually try out for what feels like forever now. It was supposed to have come out in like 2009, somewhere around there, but it got canceled. So you can now check it out online. But make sure you check out the video and we can see what Nintendo and Microsoft could have released for GoldenEye back in the day. Also, we did have a new firmware version released for the PlayStation 5, and I know what you're thinking. No, it has nothing to do with the M.2 slot for a new NVMe drive to expand your storage, but it did technically fix an issue that was causing problems with your limited storage on the PS5. Let's head over here, this to pushsquare.com, where they say the following issue was resolved. And this is for patch 20.02-02.50.00. That one rolls right off the tongue. The following issue was resolved. The PS4 version of the game was sometimes installed from the PS4 game disc, even after upgrading the disc version of a PS4 game to the PS5 version. This was something that I saw people mention, that even if they deleted that PS4 version after upgrading to the PS5 version and need the PS4 version, for some reason, the PS5 at times would reinstall it, and that would just take up more room on your SSD. So good to see they figured that out, and they can free up some space on people's drives there. Then you can also select and edit video clips using Share Factory Studio from your media gallery. I did that a few times with Cyberpunk, naturally because of glitches that were really funny. And then this system software update improves system performance. And if we didn't get any kind of stability out of this, I would have been annoyed, right? But now it's not the update we were necessarily looking for, with the feature like that M.2 expandable storage functionality being added. But it is something that I know was frustrating some people here with the PS4 version randomly getting installed for some reason. Remember, we had to go through the whole thing where it was just choosing that version by default. Now at least the PS5 won't try to reinstall it for some reason. Oh, and we did have a new sale go live for the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4 on the PlayStation Network. That going live yesterday. It will run for the next 2 weeks up through February 18th, and we can see some of it here. This being the Critics' Choice sale. And I was looking through this. It does appear to be a lot of those deluxe versions, or the digital deluxe versions, that are on sale. So the markdowns, you'll see the big like 33% off, but it's still a very large number underneath that. However, there are still some pretty good pickups here. Watch Dogs Legion is half off at $30. Immortals Phoenix Rising is down to $36. Doom Eternal, however, the Standard Edition, being less than $20. That one's pretty good. Same with Borderlands, also being less than $20. And then you also have Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, down to $39. However, if I'm gonna make a recommendation here, I would go with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I know it's not a massive markdown, but $30 for a game that I think is just a blast to play is completely worth it. So make sure you check out the sale and see if you can find anything good. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the PlayStation 5 numbers that Sony released, part of their Q3 earnings results. And it turns out it did pretty well. And now this was released like overnight at 1 a.m. my time, but Daniel Med was on it immediately. We can see this tweet here saying Sony says the PS5 shipped 4.5 million units as of December 31st. Now, obviously, the way we see it, they basically sold 4.5 million units because we can't find them anywhere. There were also 18.4 million first-party games sold across PS4 and PS5 in the quarter ending December 31st, 4.1 million of that 18.4 was Spider-Man Miles Morales. And for reference, the PlayStation 4 also shipped 4.5 million units in the same 2013 quarter. Going on from there, the number of active PlayStation Network users across all PlayStation devices has reached 114 million. That's quite a number. Total number of paid PlayStation Plus subscribers is now 47.4 million, which is up from that 38.8 million in the same quarter last year. And we can't forget about the PlayStation 4. It did ship 1.4 million units, which does push its total sell for the PS4 up to 115 million units. As for revenue, we can jump over to The Verge here, who says revenue increased 40% to $8.4 billion. That's partly driven by PS5 sales. Operating profit was up by 50% to $763 million because of higher game sales, PlayStation Plus subscriptions, and better margins on PS4 hardware. Naturally, PS4 hardware continues to get cheaper and cheaper, and they are discounting or discontinuing alongside of that a lot of their models so they can focus more or less on certain ones. And Sony does note that expenses related to the PS5 launch offset some of its profit gains, and also confirms that the PS5 hardware itself is being sold for less than it costs to make. A loss was incurred due to strategic price points for PS5 hardware that were set lower than the manufacturing cost. This makes sense. No one's really surprised by this. I think that a new system out of the gate would lose that company money. It's something it's a strategy that they have used for a while now, especially because they are looking to get as many of these systems into homes as possible right away. And they know in the long run, if they can get you one of these systems, as we just saw with the PlayStation Network subscribers for PlayStation Plus being over 47 million, well, they need a PlayStation device, you would assume, to have that. I mean, I guess some people could use like PlayStation Now streaming, but no one wants to do that. And of course, over time, we will see the PS5 get cheaper for Sony. They'll do a price drop at some point. We'll see a slim revision. I don't know if we'll see a PS5 Pro, but really looking at this, the PS5 is off to a really good start. Surprising. 4.5 million units. It appears to be as many as they could just make and ship. It's right there with the PS4, and we've seen how that's been rolling along. And I actually think that the PS5 is just basically going to stay in line with the PS4 as they go along, and they have said that they're going to continue to invest more and more with partner relations and just overall gaming for PlayStation. So what I think is going to happen is you're going to see more deals like what we saw with Final Fantasy 16, where Sony will pay to have a certain game exclusive on their platform, or who knows, maybe they will buy rights to different IPs from companies like Konami, who doesn't actually want to make them, or let's face it, have the ability to make them. Silent Hill continues to be rumored. Metal Gear Solid is even coming up now. So some interesting stuff here going forward for Sony. The one thing they're going to run into, though, is being able to create the systems, because AMD themselves have said that they are having a harder time getting this all under control when it comes to producing the chip for both the Xbox and the PlayStation. In fact, they say second half of 2021. I gotta be honest, by then, we're gonna probably have the hype levels go back up because Sony should start getting a lot of their releases out of the door, and then we run into the holiday season, and it's like, then you have demand go up. So I'm starting to think like first quarter of 2022 is when you may be able to find a PS5 on store shelves. But either way, a fast start for the PS5, and I'm looking forward to what 2021 has in store for Sony and the PlayStation. Next up, let's talk about the first review for Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. And I wanted to point this out because it is Famitsu, so there's a lot on the line here. It has to be able to beat out Sonic Forces. Sonic Forces got a 35 out of 40. So let's take a look. Here we go. Sonic Forces did not score higher than Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. This coming from Gamatsu, it got a 9, a 9, an 8, and a 10, giving it a 36 out of 40. Now that does place it lower than the original, which was a 38 out of 40. However, I do know that generally when you take the same game and you may re-release it, well, really, this game came out a while ago. It's still a very good game, but I mean, it came out, what, 7 years ago? It's really been that long since this game came out. So, you know, they go back, they have another look, and based around what else is out there currently, it may get a lower score, or you get different people reviewing it. That tends to happen. But the Bowser's Fury section seemed to get high marks, and the extra content appears to be worth it, according to Famitsu. But again, they did give Sonic Forces a 35 out of 40, but the game itself looks very, very good, and we should start seeing more and more reviews pop up as we go along here. I'm thinking this is going to be one of the bigger games for Nintendo to kick off 2021. It sounds weird because we've had this game before, but like there are a lot of people who just didn't play it on the Wii U. It's going to sell a lot, so good to see it. The quality is there. I also saw, interestingly enough, this was a strange little bit of information. I believe it was from Eurogamer. It was mentioned that when you have it in docked mode, the Bowser's Fury section is 60 frames per second, and then you go into handheld mode and it goes down to 30. So it could be kind of jarring overall, but I think a lot of people are going to be playing this one in docked mode, and then of course playing with a couple of different people, whether it's online or just couch co-op. But either way, looking forward to this one. I'm excited to go back through it and then naturally check out Bowser's Fury. Next up, let's talk about Embracer Group, which we had made mention several times. THQ Nordic is going around buying up all of these different studios, and technically Embracer Group is the parent company. It was just always funny to see THQ Nordic pop up buying this studio and that studio, and then they go and they pick up Saber Interactive. Well, now it looks like they actually have made a new acquisition, a merger with Gearbox. Check this out. This from GamesBeat. Embracer Group acquires Borderlands maker Gearbox Entertainment for $1.3 billion, and they weren't done there. We also have Embracer Group acquires Aspyr Media for up to $450 million, which means as of now, Embracer Group has 58 internal studios with a total number of about 5,700 employees in 45 different countries, at least as of now. I mean, they could buy another studio tomorrow for all we know, the way they do this whole buying spree in bunches. So, I mean, you never know. But interestingly enough, we just talked about Aspyr Media, and I've covered some of the stuff they've done. They do a lot of those remakes. I mean, they just did Pod Racer, they did Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy. But what about Knights of the Old Republic? Because rumor apparently has it that they are the ones making it. Now, part of this acquisition, we got a little more insight apparently into what Aspyr is doing. They say Aspyr has several games under development, including one major ongoing game development project with approximately $70 million of budget that is expected to become an important part for the entire group. These development projects will engage more than 200 internal and external developers with the core team in Austin, Texas, and will contribute to Embracer's release slate in the coming years. And on top of that, Jason Schreier had a little bit of a hint in there, a subtle hint, saying you wouldn't have expected this, right? As a studio that had originally been hinted as one that we would not expect to be doing Knights of the Old Republic. Aspyr is an interesting one. However, they've done a pretty good job taking the older games for even Star Wars and kind of remastering them, repurposing them for current consoles now. So to hear about them, I guess, going to Embracer Group, getting the serious capital backing from that side, as well as several developers to help out, I'm interested. I'm curious to see what they can do. Now, this is still technically rumor territory. Embracer Group did go out and pick these studios up, building up their overall workforce, but interesting that it would be Aspyr doing Knights of the Old Republic. But yes, there we are. THQ Nordic continues to roll along, pick up more and more studios, becoming a major publisher now in the gaming space, getting right up next to like EA and Ubisoft. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the next Battlefield game from EA, because Battlefield 5 came out, and I remember I checked it out some, and I was like, this is all right, I guess, but I'm still more of a Bad Company 2 kind of person myself. But it does sound like the next Battlefield game could be kind of interesting, actually, and EA give us a little bit of a window into what they were planning and even when they were going to reveal it to us. We can take a look at this quote here, posted up by Daniel Med. We're looking forward to sharing a lot more about our fiscal year 2022 plans in the months ahead, including our next Battlefield experience, which will mark a return to all-out military warfare. The game takes full advantage of the power of next-generation platforms to bring massive immersive battles to life with more players than ever before. Featuring maps with unprecedented scale, the next edition of Battlefield takes all the destruction, player agency, vehicle, and weapon combat that the franchise is known for and elevates it to another level. The team is focused and the game is ahead of our internal milestones. We'll reveal the game in the spring and deliver a defining Battlefield experience for our players in the 2021 holiday season. So looking at this, I like what they are saying here about the next Battlefield game. They seem to be pointing out, oh yeah, the PS5 and the Xbox Series S and the X, all that, we'll be taking advantage more so of those systems. However, I do still wonder if there will be a PS4 and an Xbox One version of this game. I kind of feel like EA will want to try to make it work, but the biggest thing that I keep hearing with these rumors going around about the next Battlefield game is, one, it should be Bad Company 3, right? That's what it should be. Okay, aside from that, is the overall scale of this game. Like the number of people that would take part in like hold the points or deathmatch or any of those modes would be significantly higher, to the point where you would actually look around and be like, wow, there are this many people in this room right now battling it out. That's something that they pushed before with Battlefield, and Battlefield was known pretty well for back in the day. So if they can kind of get that same feeling back of this massive battle going on in front of you that you are participating in, it is something that could, of course, set it apart, because we're now to the point where we have tons of people dropping in for Battle Royale style games. I think it is time for Battlefield to go back to its roots and really push that along a bit more. And then, of course, visually speaking, look really, really good, have good gunplay. So I am looking forward to this one, and we'll see if they go with something like a Bad Company 3. I'm kind of thinking they're just going to go with a standard numbering once again for Battlefield, but we'll see what happens, I guess, in the springtime around April or May. And before we go to the comment of the day, let's go over and take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday saying, do you want a live-action Legend of Zelda TV series to happen? And it looks like the majority of you, 73%, said no, a live-action series would be weird for the Legend of Zelda. And yeah, you know what'd be interesting is I'm not really sure what they would do with Link, because Link doesn't really have any dialogue, as I guess, other than some grunts and groans and stuff that he may have in the game. But like, I don't know, that'd be interesting to do that, because I feel like if they tried to give Link a voice that was just going on throughout the whole series, it would be kind of strange, and then they would end up actually shaping the character that way for maybe the next game, because then we might look at Link a bit differently as opposed to how we do now. I know the live action thing would be, I think, hard to pull off. If it was more of an animated one and then get around that, it might be kind of interesting, but I do look at this and say, you know what, maybe Nintendo dodged a bullet. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Luke saying, I only saw the part of the title that said Nintendo canceled Zelda and thought Breath of the Wild 2 was canceled. So one of the hardest parts of a YouTube video, might even be the hardest part, as opposed to maybe the thumbnail, is the title. Title, they give you so many characters, and a lot of times I'll type out this thing that's like 140 characters or something. I'll just put all the information on. Okay, nope, that's not gonna work. You start cutting things out, and then YouTube will cut off the title at certain points depending on which device you're looking at. It ends up being a whole thing, and yes, sometimes it says this was canceled or something because you only see 3 words. Yeah, the title, though, is the most annoying part to come up with for a YouTube video. But no, Zelda technically isn't canceled like Breath of the Wild, nothing like that, but the live action series, yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's the PlayStation 5's hot start, 4.5 million systems now shipped, basically sold because you can't find them anywhere. But do you think the PS5 will be able to replicate the success that the PS4 had in its lifetime? Let me know about that one. And then what do you think about Aspyr taking on the job of Knights of the Old Republic, the next one that's rumored to be coming up? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.